Hello, Wildcat fans, and thanks for listening to the AC Wildcats postgame. We have Ben White, Aaron Torres, rocking the A. I am merely Mike Luke. All right, guys, Arizona took care of business against USC. This was a very, very impressive performance. Honestly, guys, this is a USC team that is – I mean, it's a pretty talented SC team, but Arizona, Aaron, just had a cohesion factor to it that USC just doesn't possess.
I like how you just brought me in just as if I'm just your normal co-host. No, like, oh.
Yeah, hey, no, we know.
It's not that I want, like, the special guest acknowledgement, but I thought it'd be like, oh, what a surprise. Courtside here in Vegas. Torres is with us. He's back in the A with the hat. But what was the question? I'm sorry.
Basically, with Arizona, this is just a team that when they're firing on all cylinders,
unbelievable.
Like
well, and so I tweeted something, Mike, about it was when they went on that big second half run. KJ was carrying them, Jaden Bradley was carrying them, and I tweeted something, and I had people like, "Well, I mean, their starters aren't even playing that well," and it's like, yeah, that's kind of a good thing when you can beat the crap out of somebody. And I know it kind of got a little dicey there at the end. But they were in complete control for the vast majority of this game. And by the way, I think the thing that stood out, those first 8-9 minutes, USC has dudes for people who are, don't watch USC on a day-to-day basis. They had a ton of injuries over the course of the year. And so just the way that I thought the guys off the bench played really well, KJ and Jaden Bradley specifically.
Yeah, Ben, this was an all-around performance here, in that you had Oumar Ballo, leader of men, who kind of paced Arizona in the first half, and he's really kind of a nice little he's just kind of a nice little security blanket that Arizona hasn't necessarily had it sometimes, where you could just dump the ball down to him. He's big, he's physical, and he can do a lot of different things.
Well, the thing with Oumar, and we talked about this after the first USC game about a week ago, is with that zone defense. I mean, the thing you really wanted to do early, and I was just really pleased to see Arizona do it, was just establish a presence inside. I mean, it's exactly what he did. I mean, he was just lethal inside, and offensively, from a rebounding perspective, I mean, Arizona did struggle a little bit at the beginning of the game, but he's a guy who came in and established the paint, and that's exactly what Arizona needs to do. They're going to play inside out. That's how they like to play. And I thought it was really refreshing to see them play in a game like this, in the sense that the tempo slowed down. USC is a really good team defensively. They just couldn't make a lot of shots, and Arizona controlled, Aaron's point, controlled the majority of this game. And I think that's the way this team plays. When they get knocked on their back and when they take a loss like they did a week ago, they're going to come out and respond, and it's exactly what they did today.
Yeah, the bench on this team, Aaron, we've talked about the teams in the country that have the highest upside, the teams that can really, that can really make a difference. And the one thing about Arizona that they have in spades is they have two difference makers off the bench. And we saw that today. Jaden Bradley, KJ Lewis. These were guys that were, they were two of the 5 best players on the court. It's not a lot of teams in the country that can bring 2 players off the bench like that.
Well, just think about it. Jaden Bradley, McDonald's All-American. Listen, didn't work out at Alabama, but that doesn't mean he's not a good player. And KJ Lewis, as you and I were discussing, when you came over during the game, like, most misevaluated player in the history of the recruiting rankings. So it's wild. So I just bring it up to say, those, forget, how, we do the cliche, that guy could start for anybody. Those are NBA players. I don't care if you could start at Purdue or you can start at Kentucky, or who cares? They're NBA dudes coming off the bench. And, I know you want to get into different elements of this game, but I tweeted it during the game. It's like, this is why I can't quit Arizona, because they have the top 7, can play with anybody, and they do it consistently over a 40-minute stretch. But when they do it, I'm telling you, I don't care if it's Houston, I don't care if it's UConn, I don't care if it's Kentucky. They can play with and beat anybody, but it's not just a lot of teams have good starting 5s. It's really that 7 to me, 8 if you include Kribus as well.
And Ben, honestly, that's now that I'm figuring out, because I don't have to look at you. Ben, the one thing about it too is that when this team is playing well, they don't really have any flaws, and I think that's what's intriguing about it. Arizona can go big. Arizona can go small. Arizona's got guard play. Not only does Arizona have guard play, they have depth as well. There are maybe a couple things you can take away from this game that are maybe a wee bit concerning, but overall, Aaron Torres is a UConn fan, obviously. Must suck only having 5 national titles in the last 25 years, but I can't even imagine. But, UConn is kind of the class of the country, in my opinion, but Arizona, when I believe Arizona is at their apex, I believe it's the one team in the country that can look UConn eye to eye.
Well, they're versatile too, and I think the one thing about them, and we've learned this over the last couple of weeks, is they go 7. if you need Bradley to come off the bench and be a difference maker, bring some energy, he did tonight. You need KJ Lewis, a guy who's come a long way. To Aaron's point, that's an NBA player right there. And you've got two difference makers to bring off the bench when a guy like Boswell is struggling. Granted, he didn't have his best game tonight. We knew that. I thought from an energy standpoint, he was locked in, but he was hesitant to take some shots. But defensively, he brought the element, but you needed guys to come off the bench and make shots. And in a game like this where things are going to be slowed down, USC is big, they have size. They don't play at the tempo that Arizona necessarily prefers per se, but Arizona was able to prevail. They have difference makers. They have a variety of different guys, and let's be honest, when you got a guy like Caleb Love who can hit any crazy shot on any given night, this is going to be a tough team to beat come March if they play this way every game, Mike.
Yep, Aaron, now let's talk about it a little bit. Just where this team, because you're the national guy, we're the local runs.
Wearing your Arizona.
Look around. Let's talk about this Arizona.
They created the no cheering in the press box line because of you. But anyway, neither here nor there.
Let's talk about this team, though, a little bit just nationally. Am I being biased in the fact that I believe when they are playing at this level, that UConn can 1,000% basically, or Arizona can 1,000% hang with and beat anybody because they have pretty much all the boxes checked off.
So yes, 100%. And it's funny, I remember saying this after the Oregon road win for Arizona, where you lost the buzzer to Oregon State, and then you play Oregon, who is right in front of us right now, 2 days later, and it's like, oh, are they going to get swept on the road? And then basically start to finish, it wasn't even close. And I said, this is why I can't quit Arizona. Because, again, that top 7, 8, if you include Krivas. And as you said, Mike, that's the thing to me. And I thought it was on full display today. I know there's going to be a lot of people that were maybe at work, didn't get to watch this game closely. You want to go big with Ballo and Krivas. You want to go small. You want to play a Keshad at the 5. You want to play Bradley. My guy Keshad. Like, whatever it is, if Bradley and Lewis play more minutes, Kylan Boswell. So to your point, and I think this is the most important point on Arizona, is that when they are at their best, yes, they truly do have no weakness because a lot of teams don't have the size, they don't have the guard player, they don't have the shooting. They have all the pieces. It's just about all of it coming together for 40 minutes straight, as many games in a row as possible.
All right, I found one thing a little concerning about this game, and we're going to get to that in a second. But Aaron Torres, have you been to Circle K lately? Be honest.
I have not, no.
All right. Ben One White has been to Circle K. This is correct, Ben.
You got it.
Okay, now, here's the deal. Be like Ben White and not like Aaron Torres. Join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details and the Arizona Lottery. You're basically a de facto Tucsonan at this point, Aaron Torres. You need to play the Arizona Lottery. Is this understood?
Oh, okay.
Okay. Now, Ben White has never won the Arizona Lottery, to my knowledge, but like Aaron Torres, the Arizona Lottery is not just about playing games and winning prizes. It's also about giving back to the state and its communities. Visit azadventure.com for more information on how you can take an adventure for a chance to win $1 million in cash and Arizona travel prizes. All right, Ben. Kylan Boswell. This is a little bit of a concern because Arizona, when they're playing really, really well, this is a better, it's obviously a better team. He's clearly struggling with his confidence, but it's also nice to have somebody like Jaden Bradley in there as well.
Well, guard play is everything come March, as we've talked about ad nauseum. And I think a guy like him, it is a confidence thing. I think the ability's there. I think the talent's there. I think on any given night, in a right situation, he can make any shot. He is clutch in that sense, but I thought he did a nice job defensively, and I was really disappointed to see there's a possession early in the game where he gets the steal and moves down the court, but just passes up a shot. And, I think that was maybe instigated by, a possession or two earlier where he missed a couple of threes. But point being, you don't like to see it. 2 points, 1 for 8, not really the best night for him. But to your point, if Bradley's there, I think it's going to give Arizona more margin for error than they wouldn't have without him. And look, Boswell cannot have a game like this in the NCAA tournament. Plain and simple. He cannot. But to your point, it's nice to know that Bradley's there. But again, if there's one thing I think to take away from a concerning standpoint in this game, I think that's going to be the talking point there, Mike, is Boswell.
Can I ask you guys a question as somebody who doesn't cover this as closely as you do? Boswell had a few shots, so I was on the side, and he had a few kind of catch and shoot, and he looked very confident. Do you think when it doesn't go well, is he not playing with confidence or just the shots not falling or both?
Yeah, it's 100%. You can see where he gets kind of skittish. You can see where he gets kind of skittish. When Boswell's at his absolute best, Aaron, he is getting downhill. He's going, he's attacking the hoop, and not necessarily finishing at the basket, but getting in there and looking for his shot. And I think Tommy Lloyd said it in a presser once. He said, we're fine with Kylan Boswell missing shots. We just need him to be confident when he's taking those missed shots. And there were some times when he also wasn't. There was a time when he got into the lane in the, or not, he was approaching the basket in the first half, and he did like a 360 spin and like threw it over his head.
Sure.
And that's, you just can't have that, because again, it's awesome that Jaden Bradley's playing really well. But, again, this was a guy that was a 5-star recruit for a reason. We've seen it in spurts. And Arizona's got to have him playing well, because you're going to need him at some point. I mean, like I said, you've won your fair share of national championships. And generally, everybody has to have a moment somewhere along the way where it's like, all right, this is, whatever the case may be. And Arizona's going to need him, like I said, and he didn't look right to me, and he had been playing better of late. But it is nice to have Jaden Bradley, and like you said, there's not a lot of teams that can bring a McDonald's kid off the bench who can also play and is pesky in the way that he is.
And like I said with Boswell, there was 1 or 2 threes right in front of me that he did catch and shoot confidently. So I don't want to oversell it and say he's going for 30 the next game. But
you are saying this, Aaron. Say it right now. You are saying.
Who do we got? Oregon or UCLA? He's going for 30 against UCLA tomorrow for sure.
Love it.
No doubt.
Yeah. All right. Ben White, I see you shaking your head in agreement.
No. Yeah, look, he's a guy, if you don't have him at his best, Arizona's not going to go very far in the tournament. I get you have bench pieces. I get you have the guard play. Defensively, you seem locked in. But without him, Mike, we've seen how ugly it can get when he has a bad game. And Arizona just cannot put itself in that position. But again, it's going to be a game-to-game thing. And I think this team, it's all about energy and how they play that day. And, they kind of carry themselves game to game. Whereas maybe years past, we've seen teams just come out consistently and kill it in the regular season. Granted, Arizona has done that. But as we've talked about, there's been too many donuts. There's been too many times this year where they just don't show up. And there's games where they don't look like, what they should look like. And I think that's what you want to see in this tournament. I think this tournament has to mean something to them because, come next week, you got to win 6 straight games. And, man, that's hard as hell, as we all know here. And this team's got to find that energy and find that spark. And you would hope that it continues. You saw it today. Boswell's a weak point, but there were a lot of other good things to take away. And KJ Lewis is one of those, Mike.
All right, let's talk Keshad Johnson. That's your guy, Aaron Torres. And when that Arizona guy, Keshad Johnson, you messaged me almost immediately and said, listen, he's gonna be something that they didn't have this past year, and he has been, obviously. He made more 3-pointers this season than he made this entire SBSU career. But Aaron, the thing that I like about him, though, is that there's a comfort level when he's out there.
Sure.
He doesn't necessarily need to put up huge numbers, but there is a massive comfort level to he's going to get rebounds, he's not going to get pushed around, and he's going to do a lot of things that just kind of the grimy stuff that a lot of people don't want to do, and he's the key to Arizona's defense when he's like that.
Well, and I think the first part where you said, and I think Arizona has a lot of these guys, and we just talked about KJ Lewis coming off the bench, Jaden Bradley coming off the bench, et cetera. But he's a guy, and I think it's because of that San Diego State background that he is comfortable if he doesn't get 25. He is comfortable if he isn't the focal point, the feature point, whatever. And, fifth-year guy, I know he came to Arizona to have a bigger role, but I think it speaks to him where he's a leader and a veteran from the perspective of if he doesn't get 20 touches, if he isn't shooting, what you get the point that I'm trying to make is that he's comfortable. He can go for 20 depending on the night, but he isn't defined by that. And if he isn't the focal point, he is still going to give you, as you said, the energy on rebounding, toughness, all those things that this team definitely needs.
Right. Ben, what do you think?
Yeah, he's a dog. And look, it's no secret that last year in the NCAA tournament, that's what Arizona lacked. It was a dog. They didn't have a guy who wanted the ball, at the end of the game where things were on the line. And you got 2 guys who have been to the Final Four, and that's a heck of a rare thing to have here. And we've talked about Johnson. Would you like him to be a little bit more consistent from a scoring standpoint? Yeah. But to Aaron's point, he does so much more. The rebounding is there. defensively, he's that big athletic guy up the middle who can do a number of different things for you. And, Arizona has been in a lot of games that maybe they shouldn't have been, just because maybe their guard play wasn't the best at times this season because of somebody like him, and as long as it continues, Arizona's going to be in a good spot.
All right, now the Desert Financial Credit Union by the numbers clip is coming up right here. Let's look at this. Desert Financial Credit Union, presented by Desert Financial Credit Union, Arizona's #1 credit union, brought by Forbes, or union named by Forbes. All right, look at this. This is called One Team is Better Than the Other, Aaron Torres. 17 rebounds, obviously 10% higher pretty much across the board. Aaron, listen, USC is
This one right here, that's the big one. 46.
USC's kind of a disjointed team, and then it doesn't look like they really play together. I was just curious to see what kind of motivational factors that Arizona was going to come out with. And you could tell very early on that they were coming into this game looking to beat USC. Yeah, and they did just that.
It probably helped losing the other night, right? I would think. Like you say, besides the whole cliche of like you're playing for a Pac-12 championship, losing to them just the other night, I would think would have had to motivate them coming into this one, no?
Right. Yeah. And the other thing, one more thing with the Desert Financial Credit Union, by the way. Let's see here. It's also a very good place to all kinds of stuff. Hold on. Where is it? Okay. When you open a free checking account, get $200 of bonuses. Get started by visiting desertfinancial.com/200 Desert Financial Credit Union. Okay, now looking ahead a little bit. Listen, Arizona should win this tournament, in my opinion. If Arizona, I know I'm going out on a limb there, but if Arizona is motivated, if Arizona is fully engaged, Arizona is the best team in this best team in this tournament, and it's the best team by a mile. Aaron Torres, when he's doing his bracketology for Fox Sports, is not probably saying, Oregon's the team that could make the run to the Elite Eight or USC or whatever. It's Arizona. That's the one team, and so this is the one squad where it's like, all right, you just got to bring it, and if you bring it, you see everything. Also, the Caleb Love experience is winding down, obviously, but you and I were talking about it a little bit before the game. What a joy to watch. And honestly, it's just cool seeing a redemption story like him, even though one thing that I have to have him stop doing, stop missing dunks. There's been like 10 missed dunks this year. In a game like this, it doesn't matter. We cannot have that, Aaron Torres. Other than that, Caleb Love, yes.
The missed dunk down here, it was because he had a 6 steal and then he almost got tripped and then he was like off of his feet when he was jumping. So, I mean, forgive him for making the incredible defensive play and having the ballerina feet and just not finishing. But, I'll say this, this was my first Arizona game in person. I was supposed to come to Tucson, but then I realized the conference was poverty and I didn't want to come out for, mediocre teams besides Arizona, of course.
Right.
And I don't think I realized how much Caleb loved, but then the fan base play off of each other. The number of times that he did something big, hit a big three, threw a big pass, that big dunk right there, that I was right parallel to. And then he points right to the crowd, and they point right back, and they're screaming and they're yelling, and it just, like you said, a redemption story. I could tell. I know it's not like a surprise story, but it was not good with him in North Carolina this time last year. And so for him to find a new home, a place that he's obviously been embraced by teammates, coaches, but the fans as well. As you guys have a close to fan base. They're all likable kids, but I feel like he is just like, when he gets going and he's firing up the crowd and the crowd's firing up him, it's just a very symbiotic relationship.
It's very much so. And then Tommy Lloyd's talked about it. He said, I heard the rumors about everything, and was he this, was he that, and he said none of it's true. He's been absolutely fantastic this entire time for it, and stuff like that is cool to see.
Well, and he's one of those kids too who's been around the block, right? This is year 4, and there's a reason at this point, like a lot of guys lingering around, that you're not in the NBA. What's going to take that difference to get at the pro level and potentially get to the league is you're going to have to become more efficient. And I think that's exactly what he's done. Lloyd has talked about it all season. He's talked about it even going back to November, where those early conversations have been, hey, we're not looking for you to come in here and shoot 25 shots a game to be the only focal point of this team offensively. We need you to spread the ball around. We need you to pass. We need you to play within the flow of our offense. And, there have been moments. Look, I get it. There are moments where you kind of take the shot and you think to yourself, is that really the best offensive possession that Arizona can do right there? But the thing about it is, Mike, and you say it, and you've said it all year long, is you're going to ride or die with him because anytime he's shooting that ball, especially from outside, there's going to be a really good chance it's going to go in. And he's bailed Arizona out in spots and games, going back to even the last couple of months in this conference season where it has been, quite honestly, a drag at times. The Oregon State loss comes to mind, and obviously we talked about a number of different things where they've struggled, but he's been that guy where, it's a shot or two away from Arizona just getting momentum back in the game. I think you saw that early in the first half where I think he hit a shot and Arizona was up by double digits. And, at that point, they never really looked back. And as long as he's able to do that, I think he brings so much from a scoring perspective and really an energy perspective for this team.
But there's now, Washington State, Aaron, has beaten Arizona twice. Where are we at? Arizona, Washington State. Washington State's actually good. They don't suck, so I don't want to make it out like they suck. This isn't your father's Washington State.
I like Washington State. I know Arizona is hit or miss, but this is such a good story. They left for dead. Nobody wanted them.
And Kyle Smith has done an amazing job there. I would like to see Arizona be able to, I'd like to see Arizona play them again. Let me ask you this, though, since we got a national voice here. Arizona is going off to the Big 12 next year, obviously. You were at the forefront by saying that Tommy Lloyd was a massive, massive part of Mark's success, and you've seen some of the fall off, obviously, since he left. How do you see now Tommy Lloyd going into a conference that, let's be honest, is the best in the country, and it's light years better than anything we've been watching in the Pac-12 for quite a while?
One thing you're going to have when Tommy Lloyd, and it's an Arizona thing too. I don't want to undersell what the school has to offer, but Tommy Lloyd seems always going to have talent, and that's the thing that stands out to me is that I thought he did an unbelievable job in the portal, and what was interesting following it from a distance is the late work that he did. I think all these guys committed in May, maybe even June, and so you're always going to have talent. And I think what I will say is I do think there's something. It's like a cliche, but it's true. Is when you've been around national championship caliber teams, what it looks like and what it takes to get there.
Right. And
you don't stop until you get, it's like there's some programs where it's like, they have their guys and they this and they that. No. Recruiting full speed ahead. It's like, to me, what it's like is almost like, when somebody hires one of Nick Saban's assistants, I know he's retired now, but
right.
And it's like, it's because they know the SEC. It's because they know what a championship team looks like. Tommy Lloyd knows that.
Right.
And Arizona this year is the first one that really has his fingerprints almost exclusively all over it. There isn't a player left over from the previous regime at this point, right? Because, Pella came in with him. Ballo came in with him.
Ballo came up with him. Pella came in with him. He ended up getting Keshad. He also ended up bringing in Caleb Love. This is all his roster.
That's what I mean.
Keep in mind, a lot of people were wondering, they're like, how is he going to do with his own roster? Well, so far so good. Compare and contrast that to the guy that's just coming out on the court, Big Cronin. What he's doing with his own roster, that's not a good look at all, Aaron Flores. All right, now, a couple things. Real quick, Empire Flooring. All right, now, Empire Flooring, all kinds of good stuff. All right, now, where is this at? My parents got Empire Flooring. You should 100% get it. Schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can receive a $350 off discount when they use promo code PHNX. Restrictions apply. See EmpireToday.com for details. And let's see, do we have anything else here for the lottery? Empire Flooring. Oh, BetMGM, the BetMGM Sportsbook app. All right, here's the thing. Bet Arizona to win this. You can get some good money. Sign up for BetMGM. Use bonus code PHNX. Place your first BetMGM Sportsbook wager through BetMGM Sportsbook mobile app for at least $5. You will receive $150 instantly in additional winnings regardless of your wager's outcome. Check out the show notes for details. Here's David with the display.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Available in the U.S. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 Massachusetts. 21 plus only. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-UP Arizona. 1-800-BETS-OFF Iowa. 1-800-270-7117. For confidential help, Michigan. 1-800-981-0023 Puerto Rico. Subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards are non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 7 days. In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. See BetMGM.com for terms. U.S. promotional offers not available in D.C., Mississippi, New York, Nevada, Ontario, or Puerto Rico.
All right, so Arizona's got the winner of Oregon, UCLA coming up next. Arizona should handle either one of these teams. Arizona does not. Arizona's going against a team in either one of these that are weird.
See, real quick,
Dana Altman has definitely lost his way. I mean,
well, that's what I was going to say. You're poking at Nick, and I understand he hasn't had maybe his finest moments in these press conferences. At least he cares.
right.
I'm not sure the other guy even cares that much anymore. I think he's just looking for a reason to get out of bed in the morning. You know, it was like Jim Boeheim in the last few years. Like, I think he just wanted something to do, and that's kind of the vibe I get with Dana Altman.
Right. Okay. Now, Ben, we are going to. All right. We're still close it off. Everybody, we have a few technical issues here. We will be back with you, though. We're going to have some shorts coming up. You've been listening to the AT Wildcats postgame.
We all silly like the mayor.